Hey guys, it's Maymay, and you might remember this purse we made sometime last year. I don't remember now, but I have been asked if I could make this out of one sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. If you remember, this was made from a sheet of 12 by 12, and I thought that was a good suggestion because not everybody buys 12 by 12 paper for their stash, especially if you're a card maker. You might keep 8.5 by 11 instead of 12 by 12. So I'm going to show you that today. I've worked on the measurements. It's going to be a little different. It's going to be smaller, that sort of thing. Now, I will tell you in full disclosure, I don't have any 8.5 by 11 paper that looks very Valentine-y, and I wanted to make a little Valentine treat. So I actually cut a piece of 12 by 12 down to 8.5 by 11. But if you have 8.5 by 11 in your stash, this is going to work for you. You can also use solid paper and then decorate the bag. So if you have solid 8.5 by 11 and then you just want to use some ephemera or stickers or whatever, do whatever you got. Use what you got in your stash. 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Now, if you're like me and you cut a piece of 12 by 12 down, pay attention to your pattern because it's going to matter in the end. But I'm going to have to make it first before you can see how that matters. So we're just going to get started. So I want this piece right here to be the front of my bag. This text is going to be upside down in the back, and I'm not going to worry about it. This is going to be the front of my bag, okay? So you need to know where the front is before you get started. All of this will make sense, okay? We're going to score this piece in two places, 3 inches and 8 inches. That gets you started, okay? And now I know this is the front of my bag. Now I'm going to turn this in my scoreboard just like this, and we're going to make 2 more score marks, and they are 3 and 5.5. So let's start back from the beginning for 1 second. I put this in my scoreboard on the 11-inch mark. My first scores here are 3 and 8, okay? Turning this, keeping in mind that this is the front of my bag, I'm then going to score at 3 and at 5.5, okay, on the 8.5 side. Pretty simple, very much like we did the 12 by 12, just smaller. Now, let me tell you guys, you're probably going to hear some thunder in the background. It's a pretty nasty day outside, and I apologize. I'll try to block out the background noise, but it may still break through. All right, so now I'm going to do folding on my score line. So I'm going to fold all of my scores just like this. For me, it makes this easier just to go ahead and fold everything up before I start slicing into it, because then I can just assemble. So I've got everything folded on the score line. Now I've taken the front of my bag. This is the front because I chose this earlier, and here's where we're going to slice. On this score line, we're going to slice straight down. It is important that you slice here and not here. There's a reason for that, okay? So then on the other side of the front of the bag, I'm going to slice right beside it on my score line. Try to cut that pretty straight because that's going to be the front of your bag. And then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to cut these opposite lines here. So this is the back of my bag. I'm going to cut this score line here, just like so. And then I'm going to cut the one beside it. So we're cutting the score lines that run along the front panels of the bag. All right, so this is what I've got here. I've cut these, front of my bag, and I've cut these, back of my bag. Make sense? Good deal. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start to assemble this. So these guys will come in and up like this. So basically the box is assembled on the inside, if that makes sense. So this will go in like this, and then we'll seal it up with our flaps, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and add my adhesive to these pieces here. And I'm using sticky tape today. I have in the past used wet glue on these, but I just think the sticky tape may work better and be easier for us when we're assembling. So that's what I'm going to do. One tip I like to do is I put my sticky tape down where I want it. And then right where I want to slice it, I just put a little acrylic block, and it just slices off so super easy. So, and I just run that acrylic block down so it kind of burnishes and tears it at the same time. Pretty neat tip. Not mine. Someone gave it to me at a card party one time. I thought that was an awesome tip. So I put adhesive on these 4 corners, okay, like so. And then I decided I'm going to put one more piece of adhesive because when I assembled my little test piece, my little prototype, I found that this was very helpful to run a piece of adhesive on that middle flap right here, just at the very top. You'll see why when we get to that point. I just found this real helpful. Now remember how I told you this bag has a little bit of difference from the 12 by 12 we did the first time? It's right here. On that 12 by 12 we did the first time, there's a little 1/2 inch flap that folds down. This one doesn't have it. So that's the big difference. All right, so back here, I like to keep to the front. Here's the front of my bag. I'm gonna peel away all of the adhesive backer. There we go. And expose all the sticky. I'm going to do one side at a time. Or when I say one side of the bag at a time. So I'm going to do all of these little flaps on here. Like so. And just real quick, I'm going to peel this one off too. This one's not 100% necessary. I just really like the way it helped to make it a little sturdy. All right, so now we're going to bring one side in, and we're matching up these lines here to the side. We're going to bring this side in, and we're going to match it up so that our edges match. Okay, now I'm going to do this side. Remove the sticky backer pieces, or the little protective pieces. So I'm just going to line this guy up and go ahead and stick it together. So that'll hold that into place. And then peel this little piece off that I had for extra, for good measure. And fold it up and let it meet at the top. So now we have this little dude. And this is actually the front of my bag, okay? Now I want to show you something. This is not perfectly cut. In my prototype, it was fine, but clearly I have either cut something crooked or I've scored something slightly off. I might have even cut my paper slightly wrong at the beginning. I'm not going to stress about it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come right here and I'm just going to trim this until it's even. Just trimming that away. No big deal. No one will ever know. See that? So it's trimmed off nice and square. If you have something like that happen, don't let it ruin your day. Just trim it off. If it doesn't match exactly, just trim it. Okay, now I want to show you how to make the little flap that goes across the top that's going to make this look like a purse and not a bag. Remember, we don't want to squeeze these sides so that they crease. So I'm just going to take my bone folder and kind of mess with the paper a little bit, kind of rubbing it to make it a little rounded like that. It's probably still going to kind of point, but it's no big deal if it does. So just to kind of round it out, and then our little flap that goes across the top is going to give us the shape. So let's make the flap. Now we're going to make the flap that goes across the bag. This is the cardstock I'm going to use for my actual flap, but before I make this, I'm going to make myself a template to know where to poke the holes for my ribbon. This is going to save us a step in the end. So here's what we're going to do. With our template page, this is just a template. It doesn't matter what paper you use whatever you've got. You're going to make 3 score marks. So your first score mark on your template is going to be 1.5 and 2. Now this is done with your template page on the 3.5 mark. Okay, so put it in your scoreboard at 3.5, score it at 1.5 and at 2. Then turn it to the 4-inch side, and you're going to make one little score mark. And this score mark is going to be at 3.25. All right. We are only doing this to get this little cross section. Where these score marks cross up, that's where we're going to poke our holes. So we will know when we go to make the bag exactly where our holes need to be. So I'm going to take my Crop-A-Dile and I'm going to center it over that crosshair as good as you can. It does not have to be perfect. I say that all the time. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't do perfection at all because that is totally off, but it's all right. And then I'm going to try to do this one as best I can. At least we're getting in the same vicinity. That's what matters. Pretty good holes. They're not the best, but they're pretty good. Okay, so now I have my template. You're probably thinking, what the heck am I going to do with this? Don't worry, you'll see it in a second. We had to do that first to have our template. Now for your flap that goes across the bag to make it a purse, you're going to score this guy in 2 spots, at 1.5 and at 2.5. And this is with the paper in on the 4-inch side. This is the piece that will go over your bag. I think that makes sense when I show it to you like that. All right, now let's go back to our template. This is the entire reason we made our template. I want to know where to poke these holes, right? So I'm going to line the template up with that piece, and then I'm going to take my hole punch, and I'm going to put it right over the template and poke that hole and the other hole. Then I know my hole punches are in the right spot on my flap that's going over. So that's really the only reason for this. But if you're going to make a bunch of these, save this template so you don't have to make one again. For me, it just saved me some time. All right, now let's fold this guy on those score marks we made. All this paper I'm using comes from that Blowing Kisses paper pack that we had in the store. I don't know if we still have any, but I will link it in case we do. Matter of fact, I'll link all the supplies below. Now, the other thing I like to do on these flaps is I like to corner round them. So I'm going to take my 1/2-inch corner chomper and round these corners because I think it makes it look more pursy, if that makes sense. All right, now it's time for adhesive. The adhesive on the flap goes here, okay? Not in the middle and not on the one that has the holes on it. It's going to go on the back side. So again, I'm going to use my sticky tape. Place it down. Use my little block to burnish and slice. I'm going to use about 3 pieces back here. This is going to get, opened and closed. I don't know. It depends on how long the person keeps the little bag. But it might get opened and closed a good bit. So you want to make sure you have it nice and adhered down. And I got a teeny tiny bit over the edge. All right. Now I'm going to peel the backers off and put this onto the bag. Now when you put this on the bag, pay attention to your bag. This is not my front. That's upside down, so I need to turn it. This is the front. This is the right way, okay? So this is going to go into the back of the bag, and I'm just going to eyeball center. You can measure if you like, but I'm just going to eyeball center where this is going. And when you place it, let me get it placed and then I'll show you. Make sure you have the score line slightly above the bag. That'll give you a nice clean fold. See how I don't have any resistance? It can go both ways. It's because I put that score line slightly above. Now then, this little flap comes over and it will hold like this when we get it done. That's how it's going to be. So what I need to do now is make a little pencil mark or a pen mark there to show me where to make my other ribbon holes. So I'm just going to make a little circle right where those are, and then take my hole punch and punch those. So place the hole punch in, punch over that one. The thing is, if you're not perfect, you'll be close enough that your ribbon will line up enough that it won't matter. It'll be forgiving with the ribbon. So we've got the bag pretty much made. We need to put the ribbon through, and see, that'll line up just fine now that we did it that way. I need to put some handles on it, and then we'll have a little bag. I'm going to use this gray Nina. I am so in love with this paper lately. I just think it is so pretty. I will link it in the supplies, but this is a nice, thick, gray cardstock, and I'm just cutting some 1/2-inch strips, just 2 of them, from some 11.5-inch paper. So they're 11.5 inches by 1/2 an inch. Now this is just some grosgrain ribbon. It's about 3/8, maybe 1/4 of an inch wide, and I cut 20 inches of it. That's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to fold that in half like that, and then I'm going to feed one side through one hole. And on my Crop-A-Dile, I use the larger hole because I find it makes this easier. You can always use your little dental threaders too to make this easier, whatever you got. But with this thin ribbon, I'm not really struggling. Then I'm going to feed the other side of the ribbon through the other hole. Now I'm just going to line these guys up on the end and pull. And that gets me my center. So there is my ribbon. Now, you'd put your goodies inside and all that, but you don't have to do that just yet. I just wanted to get my ribbon in place before I worried with my handles. So here are my handles. Now, I have seen people use so many different things for the handles. I've seen them use leather. I've seen them double up their cardstock and cut this at 1 inch and then fold it in half and double it up. I haven't needed to do that in mine. I'm just using a thicker cardstock. So that's how I'm going to do that. And I'm going to use a brad to attach it. You might not want to use a brad because it will show through the back, but that doesn't really bother me. I think it'll be super cute with the little brads. And I'm using some brads I have that look like little buttons, so I think they'll be cute. So what I'm going to do here is take my Crop-A-Dile again, and I'm going to come to this edge and poke a hole. I'm just eyeballing these. They don't have to be perfect. Poke a hole here. You can mark them if you need to try to get them in the same spot. That's totally up to you. So I've done the holes in the front and the back. Then I'm going to poke holes in the bottom of my handles. And I'm going to line these up. I wasn't going to do it this way, but I'm just going to line these up like this and poke the hole in 2 at one time. All right, now then, you saw me doing this earlier. This just gets a nice bend on your handle. So now I'm just going to feed this in and line those little holes up. And I'm going to use these little brads that I have that look like buttons that I think are so cute. These were sent to me by a subscriber. I'm not sure where they came from, but I think they are adorable. So there's one little button brad. Look how cute that is. And then I'm just going to bring this side over and just let it kind of arc. It kind of will do its own thing. Just let it arc a little bit. Line up that hole like so. Feed another brad through. Then open that up in the back. And then we've got those two little buttons holding our little straps on. You don't have to use the brads, by the way. In the past, I haven't. In the past, I've just used adhesive or sticky tape or whatever I had. So now my handles are on the little bag, and now I'm going to feed the ribbon through the front. Now here's the thing. If you're going to fill these with some goodies, maybe some Valentine candy and stuff like that, you go ahead and do that now. And then you tie it all up for the recipient. So there's one through. Let's put the other one through. I just think this little ribbon tie is so easy and everybody can do it. The last time I did it with Velcro. I've also done these with magnets. So whatever you have in your stash, you do your thing. That's what's so fun about these is everybody does them different, and I think they're adorable. All right, so now I'm going to tie a little bow here. So my ribbon was just a little bit too long, so I trimmed about 2 inches off. So you could probably do this with 18 inches of ribbon instead of 20. And now for my ribbon ends, I'm going to use some fray check. But depending on the ribbon you're using, you could use, you could hit it with a little lighter and kind of melt the end. You could even, I've even used glue in the past to do this if you don't have any fray check. Just anything to kind of seal that ribbon together at the end so when they're opening and closing, it won't fray on you. Then you can decorate this little dude any way you want to. You can add charms to it. You can add a tag. This is the one we did that's the 12 by 12, also to show you the difference in the sizes of the bags. How stinking cute are these bags? I think they're so cute. And that way, if you have a bigger gift to give, you can use the bigger bag. Or if you just need something smaller to throw some candies, or how perfect for those little hand sanitizers to go in. Oh, I have one right here because I use these all the time. See these little hand sanitizers from like Bath and Body Works? They fit in there cute. You could put a selection of those in. That would be adorable. Hey, thanks so much for watching, guys, and thanks for the idea to turn our 12 by 12 into an 8.5 by 11 bag. I think that's a great idea. I want to see yours if you're making these. I love to see how many purses you guys make. So head over to our Facebook group, which is called Maymay Made It, and so did I, and share with me what you're making. I love seeing how you change the purses and add things. You guys, and if you need inspiration, that's the place to get it. There's a link for it in the description below. I've had some people ask me, how do I open the description? Click the button underneath this video that says show more, and that'll open the description, and that's where you can get all the information you need to follow around and find the measurements and everything for this bag. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. Talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.